Is your fast approaching retirement date leaving you stressed out and anxious? Winning at retirement can take decades of planning, but it's never too late to improve your position. In fact, a few small tweaks can make a major difference and create tens of thousands of extra dollars over the long run.
That's right.
So in today's video, we are going to talk about 4 last-minute retirement moves that are well worth the effort.
So Amber, we're focusing on really a couple things you can do just as you're nearing your retirement date, or you've just retired, and some things you can adjust as you begin retirement to try to have better results in retirement.
The first thing we want to talk about is a 401k rollover. Now, why is this on our list?
Viewers might consider a 401k rollover when they leave their employment for several reasons. But primarily in retirement, the biggest reason is that most 401k plans, Amber, have restrictions on when you can take those distributions. A lot of 401ks will say you can only take out distributions once a quarter. You can only change your investments once a quarter or even twice a year. In retirement, you need more flexibility than that. The other reason that people consider a 401k rollover is because 401ks have a set of options, right? You can choose from this list of funds and that is it. With an IRA, the investment options are virtually limitless. You can put your IRA in anything that you feel is more appropriate for your retirement goals.
So rolling over that 401k to an IRA can really increase your flexibility in retirement.
That's right. And we talked about this before, Amber, in other videos. It's not taxable, right? When it leaves your 401k to your own IRA, that process, if done correctly, is not taxable, right? So we're not paying tax on a $500,000 or $1 million 401k when you do that. No, it's still in a tax-deferred status until you take money out in retirement.
The second thing we want to talk about is downsizing. Now, primarily here, we're talking about your home.
So a couple options for homeowners is downsizing is one, right? This is very common. Kids moved out of the house. You don't need the 3 or 4 bedroom place. Now you need a 1 or 2 bedroom place. That's a big money saver. But actually what we're seeing right now more often than even downsizing is relocating, right? The cost of homes can vary greatly in just 30 or 40 miles from where you are right now. We know in our current situation, 90 minutes away, houses are going for half the price or less than in the cities. And so what we're talking about here, Amber, is look at these housing options. Do you want to downsize or even relocate to free up a lot of cash?
And a lot of people think, oh, I only have a year until retirement. I think I'll wait to relocate. I really don't want to make that longer commute. But actually, it might be a good idea to make that relocation right now and bank that extra money.
Well, we've talked about this, practicing your retirement, right? If you think you could live in that city next door for half the cost, try it. Right? Try it while you're still working. Maybe it's a little bit longer commute, but make sure you get in there, get to know the community, make some friends in that area, and then you're going to feel more comfortable mentally when that time comes to retire and you're in that new location.
And you'll have a little bit extra in your retirement nest egg.
Or a lot extra.
Right. The third thing we want to talk about is adding to your emergency fund. Now, the emergency fund is something that we've talked about, especially in our bucket plan. So why are we adding to that? Why is that so important?
Amber, we want to make sure that right before retirement you have at least 6 months of living expenses in cash, right? In something that earns virtually zero, checking, savings, money market, right? 6 to 12 months is the minimum, and here's why that's so important going into retirement. We have some friends who had to replace their furnace and air conditioner. Do you remember how much it cost them?
I think it was $15,000.
$15,000.
Very recently.
Right, that's an emergency. Well, while you're working, that's a little bit more easy to handle. We can work a little overtime, we can budget monthly, you probably get some really cheap financing to do that. But in retirement, if you have a $15,000 emergency and you don't have that cash sitting there, now you're going to your retirement accounts and you're selling shares, you're selling stocks or ETFs or mutual funds, and if that happens in a down market, you're selling more and more shares to generate the cash. And that's going to have an impact for the next 20 or 30 years. So we want to make sure that emergency fund is fully funded before you retire. And if you have to work an extra few months to do that, then go ahead and do that. That's that important that we tell our clients, hey, let's make sure this is really set up so we don't have any worries with the retirement funds being accessed in an emergency.
Right, because generally when there's an emergency, you don't get to pick the time of that. It never happens when it's convenient.
Right, and by definition it's urgent, right? We can't wait out the market to get our funds, right? We're not going to go without heat for the next 6 months so the market recovers. It needs to be done now.
So make sure you have those highly liquid assets, cash or whatever, to make sure that you have those emergencies covered.
Correct.
The last thing we want to talk about, and for those of you who watch all of our videos, this will not be anything new. You need to focus on your income in retirement.
So Amber, people don't retire on assets, they retire on income. So we included number 4 here because as you're entering retirement, as you're getting ready to retire, focus on what income will be generated from those assets, right? Social Security is income. A pension is income. A 401k is an asset. So how will you position that 401k to provide income? So a common scenario goes back to number 1. Do a 401k rollover to an IRA. Now you control it. And let's say you have $1 million 401k, it's now $1 million IRA. Do you take a portion of that? Do you take 30 or 40% and purchase an income annuity that will provide guaranteed income in retirement to supplement that Social Security and pension check? That's one way to do it.
A lot of things that our viewers like to do also, and a lot of our clients, is if they can't stand to downsize or sell their family home, they might look at turning that into a reverse mortgage to generate income, something that will bring in an income from their assets for retirement.
Right. Shift the focus from assets to income. That's the big focus that has to change in retirement, because as you're growing those assets in retirement, everyone wants to hit their magic number. We've talked about that, right? Okay, now you've hit your magic number. What does that produce in income? That's the key you have to focus on for retirement, is shift that mindset from asset to income and figure out how those assets will generate income. And this is one you want to take before you retire. Okay, don't retire and then go figure it out, because what if you're short? You're gonna go back to work? Probably not.
So this is something that you really need to do. Sit down with your advisor and calculate what you think you'll need to live on, and then you can position your assets accordingly.
Yeah, we focus on this in all of our retirement income plans. So if you haven't done your retirement income plan yet, if you haven't done your bucket strategy to figure out where your income is going to come for the next 10, 20, 30 years, reach out to us at workwithnewgen.com. Schedule a 15-minute introductory phone call. Let us see if we can help you in some way.
Because remember, you can make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Plan now to retire happy.